Welcome back to FLJ, ladies and gentlemen. Michael here. EndeavourOS is an Arch fork that I haven't had in my hands on a very long time. Today we are going to take a look at what the current release of EndeavourOS Cassini Nova has to offer. Enjoy! EndeavourOS has its roots in the Netherlands, but the development team is spread all around the world. As an Arch fork, EndeavourOS is also a bleeding-edge rolling distro that offers all common desktops as part of the online installation. Those installing offline will only be offered XFCE. A small fact on the side for those who have been in a Linux camp for a while: EndeavourOS still sees itself as the legitimate heir of Antergos. EndeavourOS wants to do things better than Arch and makes a notable difference right at the beginning. Besides a live mode for testing, a graphical installer is offered. In this case, Calamares is put in place so that normal users will also be able to install EndeavourOS. But it's not intended to be a pure beginner distro. After all, EndeavourOS comes without a central app store by default, which is a convenient way to install software for many. Let's check the technical key points. There are no exact minimum requirements in this form. I found no spec requirements. It is generally advised to use XFCE, LXQT or LXDE edition for older computers with 2 or 4 GB RAM. Newer computers with 8 GB RAM or more can also try the other editions. Due to the Arch substructure, this is a classic rolling distribution model. The newest of the new is offered here. Under certain circumstances, updates can be installed several times a day on your request, as architecture 64-bit and ARM are supported. The package management is on the one hand side Pacman and on the other hand side Yay as an wrapper for the Arch user repository. The package format is strictly speaking LZMA packed tar archives. As for getting EndeavourOS up and running, I refer you to flash the ISO image on a USB stick with a tool like Agile. Connect it to your PC and then boot from USB stick. After the live mode started, start the installer and just follow the screens. We have to provide some details like language or keyboard settings, time zone, bootloader, partitioning, user creation, and so on. If a system is used by only one user, then I personally activate automatic login, since I always activate disk encryption by default. So let's check the general hacks. You have either the possibility to use Pacman or Yay. Pacman is more used for the EndeavourOS repository packages and Yay for the Arch user repository packages. But later more about this. What is the target group? As a target group, I definitely exclude beginners and normal users because the distro is too thinly positioned for that in some cases. Progressive users and distro hoppers are in good hands. That means you should have some Linux knowledge to be able to analyze and solve problems on your own. Let's check the system measurements. After the installation, my system took 2.5 GB from the disk. The initial benchmark for memory consumption was just under 780 MB of RAM. The number of installed packages after the first start was at fantastic 789. At the time of creating this video, XFCE version 4.18 was rolled out. The desktop concept resembles a slightly older Windows XP concept. At the bottom, a bar with a start menu on the left, followed by Program Quick Starters. Next to it are open program windows, and on the right there are classic system indicators and a clock. All in all, a well-known concept, no question. Not the latest Windows version, but I suspect most EndeavourOS users won't have some problems with that. I'm still reeling from the extremely low performance values here. We had 2.5 GB installation disk space and 789 packages. These are really good values, and the fact that the desktop looks nicely designed and not as crude as, for example, Debian. Yes, I know, small side blow against Debian, but for me, also one of the best contrast examples. But don't get me wrong, I like Debian, but I don't like the way Debian ships out some desktops. The design language is clearly based on Arc theme, and this is delivered together with Kyogre icons. I hope I pronounced it right. Let's take a look. Go to Settings, and then Appearance, and there you see the style. Arc Darker, you can also change to Arc Dark or Arc Lighter if you like it. Don't know what your preference is. I will go back to Arc Darker and icons. You see here the Flow gear. All in all, it's a very nice desktop. Let's check the pre-installed software. We have GNU Linux kernel 6.2.2. As browser, I have Firefox. Email client is not pre-installed. Office package is not pre-installed. And software container also not pre-installed. And that was no joke. Neither a mail client, nor an Office package, nor containers like Flatpak or Snap are pre-installed. This should also attest to the fact that it is aimed at advanced users who already know roughly what apps are available and where to get the apps themselves. The software stack is minimal and looks clean and tidy. Of course, there are no useless games pre-installed. In my opinion, there is no need for that either. The system is fast and agile due to the slim build. Even a VM, everything runs smoothly. That's how I like it. EndeavourOS comes with an interesting special feature in the installer. There is the offline installer, which only brings FXCE pre-installed, and the online install, where you can also install all other common desktops instead of XFCE. I think it's good that it's offered this way and continues to exist. This way one is very flexible. I have an EndeavourOS system installed as an VM. On this I have installed as App Store PayMac because I like it graphically. You can also do that by typing this command into the console. Yay -capitalized as PayMac -AUR. Leave the prompts on default and then it will be installed in a few minutes. PayMac is for me essential for Arch systems, but that's only my personal opinion. But here you already have to fall back to Yay in the AUR, but more on that in a moment. EndeavourOS, by the way, together with Manjaro, is far more user-friendly than Arch. This already starts with the installation, as we already stated. But unlike Manjaro, EndeavourOS rolls out updates package immediately and doesn't test them for a short while like Manjaro does. Means there is always the latest and greatest available, which may or may not affect functions and maybe also bugs. Now, if you're using Ubuntu or something and think this is an interesting thing to do, keep in mind you should update regularly. Otherwise, in my experience, there may be dependency issues that all wants to be resolved manually. Please consider this in advance. If you join EndeavourOS, you first have their package sources and via Yay also a wrapper for the AUR, which is the abbreviation for Arch User Repository. While you can also install apps directly here that you can get otherwise via Git, you have to trust this source. And that's always the sticking point for me with Arch and its forks. There is a temptingly wide range of apps in the AUR. Case in point is, for example, Timeshift here, which is maintained by the Linux Mint project. If you install EndeavourOS with Btrfs file system, which I recommend, then you should exploit its potential with Timeshift to use rollback-able snapshots. The easiest way is via the AUR. Arch itself does not have the AUR active and does not recommend it due to unclear support situation. There is no real quality assurance and guarantee updates here either. This is not an accusation, but should be clearly formulated in the context. Functionally, I find the AUR super. However, the concerns overweight for me. I do not trust proprietary sources. So either get targeted software from reputable developers or leave it altogether. But if you leave it completely, the software offer is limited. An alternative could be containers like Flatpak or Snap if you don't like the AUR but need software. Basically though, the AUR has the greatest potential for malware if developers with bad intentions put packages there. Doesn't mean that's the case. Just that it could be, and the risk is just higher here. Yes, long speech. The AUR has advantages and disadvantages. That's what I want to say. And you should know that once you pull packages from it, a separation later could lead to problems. So either leave it all together or get dedicated software or close your eyes and inflationary put everything you need. Those are the options which you can choose. Now let's come to my conclusion. If you are keen on Arch but don't want to deal with the installation and setup process, EndeavourOS is a good shortcut and offers a nicely designed desktop with slim software selection. Otherwise, EndeavourOS comes with all advantages and disadvantages that Arch has to offer. If you like the KISS principle, this distro could be an interesting station for you. If you are not so keen on getting the latest right away and can live with a grace period for roughly about 2 weeks, better have a look at Manjaro. What is your impression with EndeavourOS? Do you like it or dislike it? Feel free to write your opinion about in the comments. I'm curious to see what the audience will share. If you like this video and want to stay tuned for more from FLJ, now is the right time to subscribe to the channel for free. Feel free to push the thumbs up button and also activate the bell. It remains for me to thank you for the kind attention. Take care until the next time, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.